What is up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Coffee with Hooligans, and happy freedom to all of you. Please hit that like button. More likes, more hooligans. Let me know how you're doing in the chat. I know I'm super late, super duper late. That's okay. I put that White House press briefing on pause just for you hooligans. They can wait for us. I'm going to read through the chat really quick, read all your comments, make sure everything's running smoothly, and we will move forward. What's up, Matthew? What's up, GQ? What's up, Anthony? What's up, Sawdog? What's up, Jamie and Deborah? What's up, Damn It, Janet? What's up, Miss Jamie? Thank you so much, Kimberly, for continuing the membership program for 2 months. You're officially a hooligan. I appreciate you. Thank you. What's up, Shanti? What's up, Bath Salt Reality? What's up, B? What's up, Girth? What's up, Bubba? What's up, Tuluvian? What's up, Toy Mafia? What's up, Lori? Happy freedom. Appreciate you being here. Let's see. What's up, T-Lon? What's up, JB? What's up, Diane? What's up, Robert? Some bad timing. Happy freedom. Appreciate you guys being here. All right, let me read through here really quick and we will get her started. I'm doing good, Salty Ginger. I hope you're doing good too. Thanks for being here. Thanks for stopping in. What's up, Tranquility TV? What's up, Sam? Happy Freedom Snooks. Thank you, Snooks, for everything you do. What's up, Kathy Lee? Happy Freedom. Thanks for being here. What's up, everyone on Twitch? What's up, everyone on Odyssey? Happy Freedom, Sam. What's up, Salty Ragu? What's up, Anthony? What's up, Serum? What's up, Joey? What's up, Joe? What's up, Oklahoma Bot? What's up, Pumpkin? What's up, English? What's up, everyone on Rumble? Appreciate you guys being here. Look at everybody already hit the like button. You're getting it? You're getting it? Shows me you care. Getting that live spread out there. So I also heard right off the top, I believe Tucker Carlson's going to be airing some of that J6 stuff around 8 o'clock p.m. tonight. We may do a watch party. We'll see how it goes. Either way, we'll most likely be covering it tomorrow, regardless of how it goes. At least pieces of it. It'll be at the later portion of the live when we help the YouTube platform out the room so we can speak openly. Happy Freedom, Molly. Thanks for being here. What's up, Donna Sparks? What's up, everyone on JeffMACLive.com? Happy freedom, you hooligans. I've been making some adjustments on the website, so you may notice the menu's a little bit different and stuff. I'm going to get in there and fix it. I'm trying to do new things to make the website a little bit faster. Since we have so much stuff over there, it gets tedious waiting on loading screens. All right, so today we will be covering we're going to be starting off with the White House press briefing. It's live right now, but I have it paused so we can watch it from the beginning. Peter is there. I'm just going to go ahead and say that. Peter is there today. Then after that, we have Old Man Walter delivering remarks on importance of commemorating Bloody Sunday, which I don't even know what that is. So we're going to let Old Man Walter inform me. Let me be enlightened. And then we have another video from Old Man Walter, headlines the 2023 International Association of Firefighters Legislative Conference. Then after that, we have a video that is titled Second Norfolk Southern Trail Derails in Ohio Within a Month. Ohio's getting hit so hard. I don't know why. Seems too coincidental to be an accident. And then after that, we have a video that is titled 11 Oregon Counties Attempt to Secede and join Idaho over liberal policies. So Idaho may be gaining some ground. They may be moving that state line. And then after that, we have a video that is titled 4 Americans Kidnapped in Mexico. FBI offers $50K reward for the info. What I think is really interesting is when the FBI is offering $50K for kidnapped Americans, who's to say that the kidnappers won't claim the $50K? That seems pretty profitable. Seems like a pretty simple business there. You just wait for not Michiganders, but Americans that just wander across the border. You scoop them up like a hostage situation, like you're holding them for ransom. FBI's like, well, we got 50K. Would you give them back for 50K? And they're like, yeah. And they just ship them back across, get their 50K, and sit on the border and just wait like predators. I don't know. Seems like business deals to me. And then we will be wrapping up the YouTube side of things with an article that is titled, Ford wants to be able to shut down your air conditioner and radio if you miss a car payment. And the car could even drive away on its own. It's a really interesting article, fairly self-explanatory according to that title. Ford appears like they're trying to do some stuff. They claim they're not. They claim that they're just putting these patents out there just in case. They don't actually have intentions of implementing that kind of stuff, but we'll read through that article and you can make that decision for yourself. And then we have 2 videos that are going to be on the Rumble side of things. Well, the free speech side of things, we should say, because everyone will still be here except for YouTube. But I will give you guys all the links to hop on over to these free speech platforms. I appreciate all of you guys that watch on YouTube. It's the platform itself that drives me nuts, and I got to protect myself and follow the rules over there. And it is what it is. It's not me, it's them. I'm just telling you that right now. I will provide links so you guys can come over to the free speech platform so you can watch the 2 videos we have coming up. One has to do with women's sports. The other has to do with some more border shenanigans. That's speaking very lightly of it, really. But that's what we have for today. Gonna get this pulled up. We're gonna start with the White House press briefing. I'm gonna read through the chat really quick and we will get it started. Happy for him, Hillbilly at heart. Thanks for being here. What's up, Beer Juice? What's up, Proud Ankle? GQ, did you hear about Antifa attacking the police in downtown Atlanta? I did hear about that. It's supposed to be a week-long action. There's not a lot of people covering it. I'm not getting any notifications for lives and stuff. I just see videos from after the fact. I seen a video live yesterday, but it was a person just standing next to a cop car. I'm trying to think who it was. I think it was Unicorn Riot, which they're a BLMer live streamer. But I don't think it was the person himself. I think he's got other comrades that hold the camera for him now. But yeah, I'm keeping an eye on it. If I could actually catch some action, then we would cover that. Of course, we have to cover all that stuff on the free speech platforms. Can't show any of that stuff on YouTube. Can't show gang violence. Pretty much everything is considered hate speech now. So yeah, if there's riots, protests, fire in the streets, you're not gonna see it on YouTube. That's just all there is to it. I can't break the rules. So that's why I keep telling you guys, you might as well just get used to being on these other platforms. It is what it is. But yeah, I am keeping an eye on it. Like I said, it's supposed to be a week-long action or whatever. They're supposed to be marching on. They did a anti-cop music festival on the property that the police purchased to develop a training center to make cops more, to make them better at their job, which was a huge complaint 2 years ago. Now that they're building a facility to make officers better at their job, Antifa's pissed off. And they don't want that. So they're camping out on that land, trying to prevent excavation from happening to clear everything out to build the buildings. They're going to build a false city as part of their training, and Antifa doesn't want it. So they've been hanging out there. We've covered a couple stories on it. They kind of disappeared for a while. But yesterday, I guess they did a music festival, an anti-cop music festival, where 500 people supposedly attended. Police showed up. They made like 40 arrests or something like that. We'll see what happens today. Hey, I appreciate you, Gary. Thank you so much, Annette, for continuing the membership program for 12 months. You're officially a hooligan, and I appreciate you. Thank you. All right, just reading through really quick. No hooligans left behind. What's up, Diamond? Happy freedom. What's up, Eric? Let's see. What's up, Caboodle? All right, hooligans, let's get her started.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Prostitute.
Happy Monday.
Make America great again.
So I think many of us would agree that parents should not have to pay extra to sit next to their child on a flight. It's just common sense. But as recently as a month ago, no U.S. airlines guaranteed fee-free family seating. Now, after the Biden administration pressed airlines to improve customer service, American Airlines, Alaska Airlines, and Frontier Airlines have stepped forward to guarantee that parents can sit with their young children without getting nickel and dimed. Today, the Department of Transportation rolled out a new family seating dashboard, as you'll see right here, highlighting which airlines guarantee fee-free family seating and those that don't. This is an added feature to the existing dashboard, which already includes services for delayed and canceled flights. The dashboard makes it easier for parents to avoid these junk fees, and we're not stopping there. DOT is working towards making this a requirement across the board. This is just the latest example of effective presidential leadership driving actions that benefit American consumers, workers, and families. President Biden is leading. Americans are supportive, and corporations are responding, as you can see. Also today, the Department of Agriculture is taking a number of actions to support American farmers and ranchers, increase transparency, and lower food prices. Let's start with Product of USA labels. Currently, this label on meat, poultry, egg products can be used even if the product was not actually raised in the USA. We believe that labels should be only used on animals born, raised, and processed here in the United States, and now USDA is proposing a rule to accomplish just that. This increased transparency will support American farmers and ranchers and make it easier for all of us know where our food really comes from. Second, the USDA is announcing $89 million in new investment to help establish and expand independent meat processors. This will create opportunities for small businesses in rural communities and create fairer markets for family farmers, which brings down prices at the grocery store. And lastly, USDA is taking action to increase competition and innovation in important seed markets like corn. These actions show the administration's commitment to promoting competition for farmers, ranchers, and American consumers, and deliver on the President's competition executive order. With that, Chris, you want to kick us off, please?
Sure. Two questions on the D.C. crime situation. Does the White House have a response to City Council wanting to pull back that proposal?
So as you all know, we litigated this about 2 days last week right here in this very room. The president expressed concerns on certain provisions of the D.C. crime bill, and as we can see, the D.C. Council's process is still ongoing, so we won't comment on that any further.
So also when we were discussing this last week, you cited Mayor Bowser's opposition to the crime proposal, but she also says that the override is an indignity and that Congress is meddling in its affairs. Why didn't the president or the White House give her a heads up that the president wanted to sign this override legislation?
She also said that she understands why the president made this decision.
So
but wait, let me get into it. But you just asked the question. Let me finish your question. The first question that you asked, which is, first of all, she also said that she understood why the president made the decision. Our team, the Intergovernmental Affairs team, is in constant communication with her team and was last week. Don't have anything to preview or any specific discussion that occurred, but they are in constant communication.
Okay, so the question is,
Yep.
Why didn't the White House or the president give Mayor Bowser a heads up?
I just told you that they're in constant communication with the team, including last week.
Okay, and the White House
I'm just not going to get into specific, but I can tell you that our Intergovernmental Affairs office was in contact with her office last week.
Now you're gonna start off all pissy, are you, KJP?
I'm just telling you that we were in contact with her.
Why, if the White House cites Mayor Bowser's opposition to the bill, why do they want to do something that she considers an indignity to her city?
Say that again.
If the White House is going to cite Mayor Bowser's opposition to the crime bill to say why the president should sign the override legislation, why does the White House want to do something that the mayor considers an indignity to the city? That's something that
But she also did not approve of the piece of the legislation as well.
So the process by overriding, she says, is an indignity.
So let's step back for a second. We talked about this for 2 days last week, and still going to tell you exactly what I said last week, which was the president, the bill was headed to the president's desk, and the president made a decision, and we let all of you know what he was going to do and how he was going to move forward. That's it. He wanted to make sure that he delivered for the 700,000 residents of D.C. In a way that was protecting the residents here. This was brought to him. This is not something that we put forward. This is a decision that was brought to him. And he wanted to be very clear and communicate with the people of D.C. and with all of you and how he was going to move forward.
One more legislative question.
Super clear.
Resolution going forward allowing that would bar retirement plans from offering ESG considerations. The president says or the White House says he's going to veto that. Do you have any plans for that veto?
I don't have anything to share on that. I believe we have not received the bill yet, so just don't have any timeline on the ESG bill at this time. All right. Bye.
Thank you. A couple questions about East Palestine, Ohio. Norfolk Southern, they announced a set of new initiatives they claim will enhance safety, a new power mechanism to help with braking and acceleration, additional devices that can monitor hot bearings. Is the White House satisfied with these reforms?
Look, what we're trying to do, and we've been very clear, the EPA administrator has been very clear, Secretary Buttigieg has been very clear. What we're doing is to make sure that the community in East Palestine is made whole again, and we're going to hold Norfolk Suffolk Company accountable. They made this mess, and they need to clean up this mess. We are pleased by the bipartisanship that we're currently seeing in Congress to put forward some true common sense safety measures. That is something that we want to continue to move forward. As far as it relates to the company, we are going to do everything that we can to hold them accountable. As you know, we set up a fund to support the families and to support the community getting back economically on their feet in the future. So that is going to be our focus, and that's how we're going to move forward.
You say you want to hold them accountable. Norfolk Southern, they're responsible now for 4 train derailments in less than 5 months. Is the administration comfortable with them taking the lead on self-regulation?
So look, it's notable and unacceptable. That's what we've been very clear about that. That is why the ETSB is doing an investigation that is currently happening. That is something that occurred with the first derailment. We saw within hours Secretary Buttigieg go into action and respond by making sure that the investigation started. The same thing on Saturday. The investigation has been for NTSB was just called to move forward this morning. And so that's what we're going to see. We're going to have an investigation. We're going to see exactly what occurred. But in the meantime, we have to hold them accountable to make sure the community is made whole again.
Are there any plans for President Biden to visit East Palestine?
I don't have anything to share on a planned visit for the president to Ohio. Go ahead.
Thank you, Karine. Speaker McCarthy is planning to meet with the leader of Taiwan in California. Does the White House have a reaction to that, and are you advising him at all ahead of that meeting?
So I don't believe Taiwan has announced any travel for the president of Taiwan. Taiwan's presidents have traveled to the United States in the past, so I would refer you to Taiwan for anything specific on that. And certainly I would refer you to the Speaker's office any potential meeting that he may be having with the president. I just don't, from what I understand, no announcement has been made.
The White House preference that a meeting like that would take place in California as opposed to Taiwan to avoid.
Again, I'm just not going to comment on something.
No,
I totally hear your question, Jeff. It's just not something that I'm going to comment on since it doesn't seem like it has been announced at this time or any travel has been put forward.
All right, and one other topic. Former President Trump said over the weekend in his CPAC comments multiple things. One thing he said to his supporters was, "I am your justice, and for those who have been wronged and betrayed, I am your retribution." Does the White House have a response to that?
As you know, because of He is a 2024 candidate, and we are covered here by the Hatch Act. I'm just not going to comment on those words that the speech that he made this week.
They better chill out. They're trying to get me in trouble.
One of my colleagues asked about last week. There were protests this weekend in Iran related to the poisoning of the alleged poisoning of the schoolgirls there. If the administration has any updates in terms of what they've seen or any investigations that may be underway at this point in time.
So, as you know, Phil, we are closely following this deeply concerning situation that we're seeing currently in Iran. The continued poisoning of schoolgirls across Iran is unconscionable. There must be a credible, independent investigation and accountability for those responsible. If these poisonings are related to participation in protest, then it is well within mandate of the UN's independent international fact-finding mission on Iran to investigate. Women and girls everywhere have a fundamental right to education. Time and time again, it has been demonstrated that when women and girls receive an education and are able to contribute to their economies, it benefits society as a whole. So the possibility that girls in Iran are being possibly poisoned simply for trying to get an education is shameful and it's unacceptable. And our thoughts remain with the victims and their families. And again, it is unacceptable and unconscionable.
And just one more, there were reports over the weekend that there are 2 Ukrainian fighter pilots that are in the United States right now training on simulators. Wondering if we're supposed to read that as the potential for new capabilities the U.S. may send, or kind of what the genesis of that decision-making is?
So, look, the president has already spoken to F-16s, as you all know, and nothing has changed. For what the president said is it is not on the table for now, and so that hasn't changed. So I'll leave that there.
Can you speak to the incident involving 4 U.S. citizens in Mexico who have come under gunfire and have been kidnapped, and how the administration may be able to get information out of Mexico, or what the status of that is right now?
So I have a statement here that I want to read out to all of you. We are closely following the assault and kidnapping of 4 U.S. citizens in Matamoros, Mexico. These sorts of attacks are unacceptable. Our thoughts are with the families of these individuals, and we stand ready to provide all appropriate consular assistance. U.S. law enforcement is in touch with Mexican law enforcement. The Departments of State and Homeland Security are also coordinating with Mexican authorities, and we will continue to coordinate with Mexico and push them to bring those responsible.
Yeah, they're going to coordinate $50,000 in exchange for hostages.
As to the circumstances or any efforts to try to locate these Americans?
Don't have anything to share outside of what I just laid out. Clearly, we want to be really careful here. There are privacy concerns, and so I don't want to share too much about the information on how we're moving forward, or even the individuals. We just want to be really mindful on that. But clearly, we're on top of this.
We have a video that's going to cover that topic.
A meeting scheduled yet for him to sit down with Speaker Kevin McCarthy about budget or the debt?
So right now, we don't have a meeting to preview or scheduled right now at this time. I've said this before. Our teams, their team, and our team have been in constant communication since the first time that they met. Just don't have anything to preview. As you know, the president's going to be putting forward his budget on March 9th, and we have called on Republicans in the House to do the same, to be transparent, to lay out exactly what it is that how they want to move forward with the fiscal year. One of the things that we have heard from them is how they want to continue or want to cut Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, and ACA. And so we want to see what is it that they want to do. How do they see moving forward in a fiscally responsible way? As we know, the president has been very clear. He's going to continue to fight for Social Security. He's going to continue to fight for Medicare, Medicaid, and ACA. Again, we want to see, we're going to put our budget forward. We want to see what they're going to do.
But no timeline on when that sit-down might take place?
No.
Could it happen this week?
She is so short today.
We don't have anything right now scheduled at this time.
And
waving her little claws around and stuff.
the Secretary said that she could keep extraordinary measures going through June. Then the CBO later said actually it might be July through September. When does the White House believe that things get critical as it relates to the U.S. debt?
We basically follow what the Department of Treasury said, the Secretary said through June, and that's the timeline that we're looking at.
We're reporting today that the manufacturing sector is showing signs of weakness. Obviously, manufacturing jobs are a priority for your administration. Are you concerned at all that momentum is slipping there, that could be to do with higher interest rates?
Look, we're going to continue to make sure that we deliver on the president's economic policy, economic plan. And having more than 700,000 jobs that have been created under this president shows that commitment and shows how the president's economic policy is working. Look, that's why this Chips and Science Act is so important. And you have heard over and over from these different manufacturers who are coming back to the U.S., who are building these manufacturers, creating jobs. And so we're going to continue to work closely with them and make that a priority. That doesn't stop. I don't have any concerns right now to share with you, but we are, again, close to 800,000 jobs have been created under this administration, manufacturing jobs.
Do you have proof of that, or are those just numbers?
The president has had to make sure that we're...
They keep telling us the economy's doing so well. That's why we're all paying so much for everything.
The license plate on the beast, whether it says that taxation without representation.
Oh my gosh!
Any update on that?
My homework is not on par today. We have checked in, just haven't gotten an answer on that just yet, and so we are diving in and trying to get an answer to all of you. Go ahead, Steve.
Staying on local matters, the D.C. Council chair said today that he thought he had the power to rescind the sending of the bill to the Senate for its review. Was there any communication between the White House and Council Chairman Mendelson's office prior to his press conference?
So our team was made aware earlier this morning. As you know, when it comes to how the Senate, the mechanics of the Senate move forward, that's something for the Senate. I encourage you to ask them how that will work and how that will move forward. But yes, we were given a heads up this morning.
The Senate intends to move forward with its vote on the resolution to disapproval. The president still intends to sign it. Is that right?
If look, again, we've made ourselves very clear. If the bill comes to the president's desk, he will sign it.
One other question on this. I don't think you've been asked this directly before, but last week you said that the president viewed what the D.C. Council did as unacceptable. You specifically talked about how the bill would reduce penalties for armed carjacking, and you even mentioned sexual assault. So the question is why the president would still support D.C. statehood if the council is going to pass bills that the president finds unacceptable. Why would the president empower the council to have the power of a state legislature that he couldn't check?
Because he believes, and he has for some time now, that D.C. should be a 51 state. They should have a statehood. Again, the reason why the president, we responded to this and answered the question of if he was going to sign it or not is because it was coming to his desk, as we know from last week. And so the president communicated that, we communicated that, but it doesn't change that he encourages Congress to pass a bill that makes D.C. a state, and he will sign it. He believes that cities and states should be able to govern for themselves.
Last one in this. Advocates of D.C. statehood say that what has happened here in this episode is that the effort has been set back significantly. That essentially what the president has done is he's given juice to opponents of statehood, and statehood opponents say that this episode has proven them right, that the D.C. government should not be self-governing without Congress's involvement.
Well, we disagree, right? We believe D.C. should be a statehood. I mean, we've been very clear. The president has been very clear. Again, D.C. is not a state. It's not a city. The reason why this bill was coming before the president is because that is the case, right? It's not a state. It's not a city. So doesn't mean that it stops our support for their statehood. Doesn't mean that the president has changed his mind on that. We still support that and want to see that happen. And we're going to continue to encourage Congress to move in that way. Okay.
There's a bank that's having some issues right now called Silvergate. I'm wondering if you guys are monitoring that. On Friday, they shut its crypto-focused payments network, Silvergate Capital. And they said a filing last week that they may have to evaluate their viability after $1 billion lost in the fourth quarter. Is there anything the administration is doing to monitor that or stepping in, that sort of thing?
So we are aware of the situation and monitoring the reports. Won't comment on Silvergate specifically, but it is obviously only the latest company in the cryptocurrency field to experience significant issues. In recent weeks, banking regulators have released guidelines on how banks should protect themselves from risks associated with crypto. As you know, this is a president that has repeatedly called on Congress to take action to protect everyday Americans from the risk posted by digital assets, and he will continue to do so. So we won't speak to this particular company, as we have not on other cryptocurrency companies, but we're going to continue monitoring the reports, and clearly we're aware of the situation.
Thank you. And can I just ask briefly on the Fed chair search, Fed vice chair, search, is there any update you can give us? And in particular, Senator Warren is a critic of Chairman Powell and has called on the administration to appoint a vice chair that is effectively a counterweight to Chairman Powell in decisions on interest rate hikes. Do you have a view on that? Are you, in essence, trying to counterweight the chairman in this process? And where is the process at right now?
I'm certainly not going to get ahead of the president's process or lay out what he's thinking or how that process is going to move forward. What I can say is this is a priority for this president. I don't have anything to preview on any specific candidates or announcements, but clearly we'll see. We'll have something in the near future.
I wondered, Karine, if you could comment on some efforts in Republican states like Florida and Texas, where they're cracking down on undocumented immigrants. In the Florida legislature, there's a proposed bill that looks at requiring private companies to do more to check the immigration status of their employees. In Texas, there are lawmakers considering a bill that would deny undocumented children access to public education. Does the White House have any comment on these efforts?
So I haven't seen these bills. What I can say is, and as you know, on the first day of this president's first day of his tenure, he said
they think he's the man.
He took immigration reform very seriously.
I'm gonna grab some coffee really quick. Probably open a window. It's hot in here. I'll be right back. Make sure you guys rack up them likes. There's like 100 people on YouTube that just somehow forgot to hit that like button. More likes, more hooligans. Come on, man.
To take action as well. And so I can speak to that. I can speak to how the president wants to move forward in a way that we're protecting our border in a secure way, which is why he's taken actions, whether it's the parolee program, whether it's putting 24,000 federal agents on the ground and making sure that we're doing this in a safe and humane way. And so that's what I can speak to. That's the way the president wants to move forward. And I'll just leave it there.
Texas bill says that they would deny undocumented children access to public education unless the federal government pays for it. If this moves forward in Texas, is this something that the administration would consider?
Again, I'm not going to get ahead. I haven't seen that piece of legislation, haven't talked to our team. I'm just not going to get ahead of any state, local legislation. What I can tell you is what the president has put forward and what he has, how he sees this process moving forward on the federal level is coming together with Congress coming together with us, Republicans, actually taking real action and not doing political stunts, because that's what we see in these states is continued political stunts and not really dealing with an issue that they can. If we came in a bipartisan way, we can actually deal with the immigration concerns in this country, but they refuse to do that.
Thank you. I wanted to follow up on the issue about the 4 U.S. citizens kidnapped in Mexico. Has the president been informed? What was his reaction? If you can share anything about that.
I can tell you the president is aware and has been informed.
And Ambassador Salazar is meeting today with President López Obrador in Mexico. What message does the administration want to convey, or what is your priority for that meeting?
Well, you know, the president went to Mexico most recently for the summit, met with the Mexican president and also the Prime Minister Trudeau, and they laid out their commitment to work together on issues that matter to the region, whether it's immigration, whether it's national security, and I think that summit sent a very loud message to the people of Mexico, to the people of the United States, and also Canada. As you know, just to take a step further, the president is going to be meeting with the Prime Minister later this month to continue more of that conversation that they had. I don't have anything to preview or to lay out about the meeting that Salazar is having with the President of Mexico, but we see Mexico as a close ally, an important partnership that we have in the region, and clearly we want to continue it to grow.
Thanks. Looking ahead to next month, April is the end of continuous enrollment for Medicaid. How concerned is the White House about these millions of Americans that could lose health insurance?
Well, that is something that is a concern to the White House, which is why we have continued to work to make sure that health care is affordable for Americans. You've seen us do that with Inflation Reduction Act. You've seen us do that with other policies coming out of the administration. We will, clearly you'll see the president's budget on March 9th that will speak to some of this. Don't want to get ahead of what the president's gonna lay out in his fiscal year budget. And so I'll just leave it there.
The president has said that his plan on the budget would reduce the deficit by $2 trillion over the next decade. How did the administration land on that number of $2 trillion? And then does that mean that the president does believe the current path of growth in the national debt is hurting the economy? Trying to gauge his concern level around the growth of debt, given that we've heard about that $2 trillion number.
So what I'll say is the president understands his fiscal responsibility. He understands how important it is to lower the deficit, which is why he was able to do that the first 2 years by $2.7 trillion. And so by him saying that he's going to do that by $1 trillion over the next 10 years continues to show that commitment. And so that is incredibly important. And we
Old man Walter just does what he's told. He doesn't understand anything.
Lower the debt, then he's ready to listen. He's ready to hear what they have to say. That's why we have said we're going to put our budget forward on March 9th, and we're waiting to see what they're going to do. So far, their proposals have been to add $3 trillion to the debt. As you think about,
did she just hold up two fingers?
A tax break or give away.
It's like $3 trillion.
And the rich and the wealthy.
Trillion, 100 billion. Like old man Walter.
Medicare, Social Security, Medicaid, ACA, that's what they're bringing forward. And we're saying, you know what, we're going to protect those really important programs, and we're going to put forward, he's going to put forward a fiscal
blink, blink,
that is going to be
blink.
responsible. I'll say a little bit more about this week. He'll, as you know, he's going to deliver remarks in Pennsylvania, and he's going to show his plans to invest in America.
Anyone seen Fetterman?
Costs for families, protect and strengthen Social Security, Medicare, reduce the deficit, and more, as you just asked that question. And so you can expect to hear more from us in the days leading up to Thursday. We'll have additional information on some of those pieces. As we head
JB says, no one should be president unless they can assemble a dining set from IKEA. I agree. I agree.
Going to Pennsylvania for this, obviously, that's an important state when it comes to forthcoming election. Why travel to?
So I'm not going to get into elections, but as you know, the president is Pennsylvania is very close to his heart. He sees that as his second home, and so we believe when we go out there and travel and do and go to places like Pennsylvania and other states, it's an opportunity for the president to talk directly to the American people. This is important, right? When you think about the fiscal year budget, you think about how the president's going to lay out his plan for the American people. He thinks it's important to do that and make sure that that he talks directly to the people, to American people out there, and that's what you're going to see him do. And so he'll just happen to be doing it in Pennsylvania, a place that we travel to a lot, as you all know. Those who travel with us. Go ahead, Ed.
Yeah, thanks, Green. I want to ask you about energy policy. So if the president had allowed the Keystone Pipeline, the Keystone XL, to go forward, it would have been operating today or very close to being turned on today. Any regrets about canceling that project, and any consideration of reversing any energy policies for a more balanced approach going forward?
So look, the president has been very clear about how he's approaching the energy space. He does it in a way that is responsible. He does it in a way that delivers for the American people. There's nothing new here. The decision that he's made, at the same time, having one of the most important historical climate, when it comes to climate change, investments and policies. That is not going to change on how the president moves forward here. It is when he walked into the administration, he talked about how climate change was one of the important crises that we needed to address, and that's what you've seen from this president the last 2 years. And that's not, his decisions are not going to change that.
But even with there was a leaked memo that showed that energy, if we had charged less for certain drilling oil permits or royalties in a part of Alaska, then there would be more energy security.
So I'm not going to speak to leaked memos from here. That is not something that I'm going to do. I believe the leaked memos from the Department of Interior that you're speaking to, just not going to do that. I encourage you to reach out to Department of Interior.
to speak against that topic is actually against YouTube community guidelines, which is why we don't cover anything that has to do with that topic.
I appreciate that. Torian with Spectrum News, by the way. Great, thank you so much.
Sure.
On the note of the budget proposal, this is happening. He's unleashing or unveiling this proposal under the shadow of the debt ceiling. And
What's going on with this woman right here? Why has she got this body language going on?
The president has sat down with the speaker to talk about some type of deal. McCarthy says he rejects, a clean increase without some concessions or spending cuts. Is the president going to come back to the table with McCarthy to talk about it? What's the plan here?
He never came to the table to negotiate on the debt ceiling. That was not something that occurred. That is not something that's happening. We've been very clear. We're not negotiating around the debt ceiling. This is something that Congress needs to do. It is their constitutional duty. It is something that has happened 78 times since 1960. It is something that happens in a bipartisan way. They should not put the full faith and credit of this country hostage, should not keep that hostage. And so this is something that we believe that should happen without conditions, and so that's how we've been moving forward. We've been very, very clear about that. I just talked to one of your colleagues about the thing that we are happy to talk about is how to lower the deficit. We are happy to have, the president would look forward to having a conversation, a real conversation with House Republicans on how to do that, because he has been successful in doing that. $1.7 trillion the first 2 years, and he'll share more with his budget on March 9th.
Has been sounding the alarm. She says we're about 3 or 4 months away from, true disaster here. Is that not at all concerning that, there can't be some deal?
Yeah, and that should be concerning to House Republicans. It should be, because this is something that has been done, again, multiple times over the last several decades. And this is something that is their constitutional duty to do, is to lift the debt ceiling. And it's been done in a bipartisan way. They did it three times under the last administration. Go ahead. Wow, James.
A group of one. I am just referring to myself.
I'm going to take that because I think I'm plenty old. I have two today. First of all, the Taiwanese president. How does the White House feel about her proposed visit to the U.S.? What outcomes do you hope to see from it? And will any administration officials be meeting with her?
Right now, there is no. There's no planned travel, so I'm not going to speak to a travel that has not been planned. And as stated earlier, it wouldn't be the first time that a Taiwanese president has traveled to the U.S.
She's over here jiggling her hair at me.
Somebody has a second question about the International Women of Courage Awards. You're giving an honorary award to the women and girls of Iran. Who's going to be accepting that on their behalf? And what sort of message does it send? If they can't be here, they can't participate. What is the point of doing this?
Well, we think it's incredibly important to do this. First of all, one of the reasons that we're doing it here at the White House is we wanted to bring those stories of these incredible women to the White House, to a bigger stage, right? To the biggest stage that we could. And we're doing it right here at the White House, which we think is incredibly important.
Mm-hmm.
For women.
Are you going to actually call on real reporters like Simon or Peter or the guy you just shut down in the back row there?
Need to know that there are women who are fighting for them, transforming their communities and building a better world for all of us. And so we think it's critical, we think it's important, we think it needs to be seen, and we are really thrilled to see this on Wednesday. Don't have anything more to share. We'll have
everybody in the chat. That's not hair.
Thanks, Reed. Just to circle back on something you said earlier about
circling back.
DC, it's not a state, it's not a city. What did you mean?
Meaning that what I'm trying to say is it's not a statehood, it doesn't have statehood, right? And I've said this before, said it last week, nothing new. I'm not saying anything that's new here. And because it's not a statehood, right, the president had to make a decision. This bill was brought because this bill was about to be
what was that?
To his desk.
What is wrong with her eyeballs? She just had a micro seizure.
So again, the president's going to continue to support DC statehood so that we can see it.
Her lizard face almost came out.
That's what he believes. He believes that cities and states across the country should be able to govern on its own.
And can you just give us, I know this was a decision made last week, but obviously affects hundreds of thousands of people here in the district.
700,000 people, yeah.
What was there a policy process around this decision? When did the president know about it? Did he speak with the mayor himself? Were there any sort of conversations, or how did he come to this decision?
So I don't have a timeline to lay out for you on the process and how it occurred. I don't have a conversation to preview for you with the mayor. As I mentioned before, our offices here, not just the Intergovernmental Affairs, but other White House offices are in regular touch with the mayor and her office and her staff, but just don't have anything to lay out. But look, the president knew he had to make a decision. He had conversations with his team, and he made that decision. Get in the back.
Following up on that, there's another DC Council disapproval resolution that is pending related to non-citizens voting in local elections. Is there an update on the president's position, something more definitive on whether he would sign that bill?
So I can tell you, and I was asked this last week, the president does not support allowing non-citizens to vote in federal elections. That we've been clear about that from here. As it relates to that particular vote or that particular bill, I don't have any updates from here to share with you on that, and we'll update you as soon as if we have anything, if that changes.
Thank you. I have a question about the Willow Project in Alaska. What's more important to President Biden, improving energy security or reducing fossil fuels?
So, first of all, it doesn't have to be one or the other, right?
Well,
we can try to be both.
In 2019, I guarantee you we're going to end fossil fuel. So this project would just be dead, right?
So here's what I can say about that. The president did meet with the Alaska delegation last week at the White House. He always appreciates me speaking and meeting with the full delegation, understand what their concerns are. So I'll leave it there. And when it comes to that specific decision, that's something that the Secretary of Interior is going to make. So I'm not going to get ahead of where she's going to be. But the president has met with the delegation, and I'm just going to leave it there.
Okay, and another subject. How worried should Americans be about China spying on them here at home?
And what do you mean specifically, Peter?
Well, there were the Chinese spy balloons, and now there are these Chinese spy cranes. The Wall Street Journal is comparing them to Trojan horses in use at 80% of U.S. ports.
So let me first say that what the American people could be assured of is that this president is going to protect them and making sure that we put our national security first when it comes to
like after they surveillance the whole country?
Anything that they feel could threaten that. And the president has shown that. He's shown that over and over again.
That's why you took TikTok away from federal workers, but not the rest of us.
Reporting, I would refer you to the Department of Transportation and the Department of Defense, who've been tasked with Congress.
Old man Walter couldn't protect himself from being attacked by a bag blowing in the wind. What are you talking about?
Homeland Security and Department of Defense, Coast Guard, and members of the Intelligence Committee have been actively working to address potential cyber vulnerabilities across the marine transportation system. This includes enhanced coordination across the federal government and engagement with key stakeholders in the maritime industry. And just last month, the administration issued a worldwide maritime port vulnerabilities advisory underscoring the potential threats posed by foreign manufactured port equipment. So again, this is something that the president takes very seriously, and we'll always take action to make sure we protect our national security.
And if this is a Department of Transportation lead, does Secretary Buttigieg have experience with
It's not just the Department of Transportation, it's also the Department of Defense. Okay.
Thanks, Corinne. Has the president had a chance to look at the Parents' Bill of Rights bill that's being proposed by some House Republicans?
I can't speak to what the president has reviewed or not reviewed at this time. Okay, all right, go ahead.
So last week, the Department of Justice acknowledged that in 2020, they had used, the FBI had used 702 authorities to illegally spy on a member of Congress. Can you tell us who that member of Congress was? Has that member of Congress been briefed by the White House?
I would refer you to Department of Justice, just not going to speak to that from here. Go ahead.
Thanks, Corinne. On the budget that's coming out later this week, you've referred to it as fiscal year budget, which it is. It has also been talked about in the last couple months as it relates to the debt ceiling. And we've heard the president in the recent months as well talk about the need to finish the job. He talked about it at the State of the Union, mentioned that phrase today. Should we view the budget that's coming out, I know you won't get into specifics, but in terms of this fiscal year document, in terms of needing to take on the debt ceiling, or in terms of something much bigger than that, a job that the president wants to finish in the upcoming
So when he talks about finishing the job, he talks about looking at the first 2 years of his administration and what he's been able to accomplish. You hear the president speak to how he has built an economy or wants to continue to build an economy from the bottom up, middle out. You think about the historic pieces of legislation that he's been able to get done. We were talking about, someone just asked me about the manufacturing jobs. Almost 800 manufacturing jobs have been created under this president. That's because of his policies. You think about the Inflation Reduction Act, which lowers costs on healthcare, lowers costs on energy. It's going to change many people's lives. If you think about insulin and capping that at $35 for our seniors, all of those things are incredibly important, and he wants to build on that. But then if you move forward and you fast forward and you look at just November and what happened during the midterms, the American people were very clear. They want us to come together and continue to deliver for them. They want us to continue to fight for their freedoms. They want us to continue to make sure that we lower cost. And so that's what the president is talking about. He's asking and saying to Congress, come work with us, Republicans. Why don't we come together and work in a bipartisan way so we can finish the job? And that was the message that the president said in front of Congress at the State of the Union, to finish what he started that has been historical and that is going to be transformational for families across the country.
Secondly, a month ago, on February 6th, I'd asked you about TikTok, whether it was a national security risk, and you had noted that there was an ongoing CFIUS review at the time. Just last week, there was some conversation about this as well, and you said that it is a, quote, or you talked about the, quote, potential national security risk. So is CFIUS, just if you could clarify, does the White House believe that TikTok is a potential national security risk, or is that what CFIUS, when that process works itself through, will determine?
So there's a CFIUS investigation, so we try not to dive in too much because there is a CFIUS process that's ongoing, and we want to let that process go forward. But we have been very clear on our concerns, like with apps like TikTok. I've said that before. You've heard us say that from here. We know certain countries, including China, seek to leverage digital technologies and Americans' data in ways that can present national security risks. And so that has been our statement. That is what we have said for the past several months. But again, it's under CFIUS. The committee is moving forward on looking into this, so we try not to get too far ahead of that. Go ahead.
Thank you so much. On the budget, just following up on Zona's question, by traveling to Philly, the president is obviously making a big thing out of this budget, but we know that many Americans find it difficult to really understand what he's doing with the economy. It's not very concrete, and a budget is, as you said, like big figures, trillions, billions, and maybe not relatable. So what's his strategy to make it a little more real for,
So I'm not going to get ahead of what the president's going to say. He's going to give remarks. He'll lay that out in front of the American people on how he sees the fiscal year moving forward, how he sees the budget for the American people. He's going to be transparent. He's going to lay that out and be very specific. We've talked about how he wants to invest in America, right? He talks about how he's going to fight for Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, ACA. Those are things that Americans understand very personally, especially if you think about these programs that they pay into. And so that is going to be very important for him to lay that out. But it's not just that. The president's going to be fiscally responsible. You all will see this. He'll communicate that directly with the American people. But we want to see, what are the House Republicans going to do? And we've been very clear about that, because what they want to do is the complete opposite of what the president's trying to do. We want to fight for programs that's important to taxpayers, important to our seniors, important to veterans, and they want to take that away. Think about Social Security again, Medicare. And so you'll hear directly from the American people, but from the president. But in the last
Yeah. Why don't you straighten that out, KJP, because you don't ask us anything. You tell us what we think and what we feel and what we want.
He believes in, on how he sees the economy growing and how he's going to continue to fight for Americans.
She's confusing economy with inflation. We're watching inflation growing, not the economy.
Court will decide to clear his plan. So I'm checking if you have an update on what the alternative is if his student loan plan is struck down.
So look, he's also said we're confident in our legal authority, and I think that matters. And of course, we're not going to know where the Supreme Court is going to ultimately decide on what direction they're going to go. But what you saw from the SG last week was a very strong defense of the president's plan. And right now, the plan that we have before the Supreme Court is the plan that we have for the American people. And we believe that, again, we have the legal authority that the other side does not. It does not have the standing or the merit to really move forward with what they're trying to do. And it is unfortunate. It is unfortunate that you have certain elected officials across the country that are trying to prevent nurses and doctors and teachers from getting this type of benefit. We're talking about 90% of Americans who are part of this program, that are considered for this program, make less than $75,000 a year. 90%. And so it's going to give that extra breathing room, as you hear the president speak to, and we think it's very important, and the president's going to continue to fight, just like you saw the Solicitor General do last week. All right, wow. Go ahead, Courtney.
I wanted to ask you about a bill that passed the Senate last week on declassifying the origins of COVID-19. The bill passed by unanimous consent in the Senate. What's the president's position on it?
So I was just talking to my colleagues about that. I need to connect with the National Security Council to speak more on that. But yes, that just was a flag for me coming out before I came out. Go ahead, Brian.
Thank you very much. King Charles is going to go through a coronation ceremony on May 6th. Foreign countries and foreign governments have been notified about that. Will the president attend? Will President Biden attend King Charles' coronation ceremony?
So I don't have we don't have anything to announce at this time about a travel to the UK.
She keeps doing weird things with her eyeballs.
This time as well. But I can say that the United States,
like just having iguana eyes. Or chameleon, like a chameleon. It's just on each side of her head looking in different directions.
To share on that too.
The MK Ultra's wearing off.
Not at all. Not at all. There's going to be U.S. presentation. So just don't have anything to share at this time. Okay.
Corinne, thanks. There was a report last week about how Ford's F-150 Lightning, their electric EV truck, is contributing to high pollution and deforestation in the Amazon. Does President Biden regret endorsing that truck back in 2021? Has anyone talked to Ford about how they should source aluminum for the frame from a different mine?
No, do not regret that, and don't have any conversation to read out at this time.
Okay, real quick.
Yep.
I know you're probably going to say Hatch Act is restricting you in this, but is the president annoyed, frustrated with Marianne Williamson for jumping in the race ahead of him? Did he want a clearer field to run against the Republican nominee in 2024?
Just not tracking that. If I had a what is it called, a little globe here, crystal ball, then I can tell you. But I imagine 8-ball, whatever. If I can feel her aura, I just don't have anything. I just don't have anything to share on that. Gosh, you guys are making me.
Who's laughing like that? That wasn't even kind of sort of funny. Even Klaus Daniels was not entertained by that.
Can you speak to if there's been any argument against pursuing renewed COVID funding within the president's budget, and if so, what happens?
Yeah, I'm not going to get ahead of the president's budget at this time. You'll hear directly from him on Thursday. I mentioned how we'll have some parts of his budget that we'll kind of lay out for all of you ahead of Thursday. I'm just not going to get ahead of the president at this time. Okay, go ahead.
They need to stop talking about the plague.
The protests over the weekend near Atlanta, dozens of people were arrested protesting the so-called cop city. Is the president aware of this, and is the White House worried about this escalating?
Say that again. What was the protest?
The protest was, it's a training facility that's being constructed for police officers. It's called Cop City. It's near a black residential area. The protesters are concerned that this is going to lead to escalation of police militarization. There have been 23 that have been charged with domestic terrorism, but there were 35 people arrested. So the concern is the president aware of this? Is the White House concerned about this escalating? And then I also had a follow-up. The Georgia Attorney General has said that some of the people that have been arrested were from outside of the United States, from Canada, from France, from an international group that were here just to undermine American public safety. So
Sounds like domestic terrorism.
Tracking this and how we're...
Or maybe just regular terrorism.
I've not heard any discussions about this protest over the weekend, so we'd have to go back to the team.
It's hard to know things when you're looking the other way.
And a response on that. This is the first time I'm hearing about this protest over the weekend, so just would have to come back to you on that. All right, Stephen.
Okay, thank you, Kareem. I have a Saudi Arabia human rights question for you first, and then I'd like to ask you about Russia sanctions. Regarding Saudi Arabia, there's a 72-year-old U.S. citizen named Saad al-Mahdi who is in prison for a series of tweets he wrote when he was in Florida. He was given a 16-year sentence in October, and you commented on the case then. The Saudi appeal system decided to review the case, and last month decided he needed an extra 3 years in prison, despite the White House condemning the original sentence. His son told me it was a middle finger to President Biden and that he wants his father to be declared wrongfully detained. There's been some bipartisan reaction to this. Congresswoman Ilhan Omar told me that it's, quote, atrocious and unbecoming for the Biden administration not to declare him wrongfully detained. So does President Biden have a reaction to the new sentence, and is there a reaction to the one?
So we have been monitoring the case of Mr. Saad Ibrahim al-Mahdi, as you know. I think I've mentioned this before, not just myself, but my National Security Council colleagues as well. Since we learned of his arrest and have been in regular contact with his family, we have brought up and raised our concerns regarding this case at senior levels at the Saudi government. So that is something that we've been very vocal about and brought up again to government officials. And our belief is exercising the freedom of expression, including through social media, should never be criminalized. I'm not going to get into the process here and how we move forward. That's something that the State Department, as it relates to these types of issues, but we've made ourselves very clear, and we made ourselves clear as well to the Saudi government.
It's fair to say President Biden is upset about the new sentence.
What I can say is that we have raised our concerns and have spoken to this particular individual a couple of times from this podium.
Regarding Russia's sanctions, I'm wondering if you could share the reason why President Biden hasn't sanctioned the Russian billionaires Vladimir Yevtushenkov and Yelena Baturina. How is he handling the conflict of interest there, given his son was a business associate of these two people? And can you confirm that as sitting vice president, he dined with Baturina in Georgetown?
I'm just not speaking to anything that's related to his son from here. If you want to ask a question about Hunter Biden specifically, I would refer you to his family. And as it relates to any sanctions, I'm not speaking to individual persons that from Russia.
Just say you're not providing answers today and then leave the room.
COVID origins. I understand that administration is trying to get to the bottom of this. I just want to ask you if the final conclusion might look like, is it going to look like each institution that is looking into and investigating come up with their own conclusions, or administration will have one final perspective?
As you know, the intelligence community is looking into this. This is something that the president has asked since a few months into his administration, and so they're redoubling down their efforts. They're looking into the origins of COVID. Clearly, it's important. He believes it's important to get to the bottom of this, especially as we look ahead to the future and trying to prevent any future pandemics. I'm just not going to get ahead of the intelligence community. They're working through this, and I'll just leave it there. All right, thanks everybody. I'll see you tomorrow.
Well, hopefully everything runs smoothly. I'm now concerned because all the flagged red words and stuff that they were talking about. If I get a strike, I won't be live again until May. It's the way it is. It's like May 14th or something like that. Hopefully that doesn't happen, but that's how silly it is over on the YouTube community guidelines. I don't even have to say anything to get in trouble, so hopefully we survive it. If you don't see me go live tomorrow, that's why. Hopefully you'll come find me on the free speech platforms. So, we have more to cover. We're going to be covering Old Man Walter delivering remarks on the importance of commemorating Bloody Sunday. Video is about 20 minutes long. We're going to get this on the screen. I'm going to read through the chat, and then we're going to move forward. Alright, let me read through the chat really quick and we will be moving forward. Matthew, for what? You can't talk about the plague. You can't say anything about the plague. All the videos that are talking about the origin and stuff, they're all getting flagged and pulled down. Unless you're Fox News, CNN, something like that. If you got 1 million subscribers and you got a personal email connection between YouTube, those are the only people that can talk about that stuff. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I get flags and strikes for showing stuff that's already on YouTube. I thought when I started doing Coffee with Hooligans that I would be safe to show YouTube videos on YouTube, but I'm not. I just got a strike for doing that. I couldn't go live for 7 days. It doesn't expire until like May 14th. If I catch a second strike, it'll last for 14 days, but I'm not going to go live because I don't even know what I can and can't do, because it's okay for other channels to do it. It's not okay for me to do it. So I got to try and follow the rules to the best of my ability. It's difficult when they use phrasing that is vague without any kind of real description. And I'm trying to jump through hoops and walk on eggshells, and even doing that, I still get hit with strikes. And I've brought it to their attention. The last time I got a strike was something that MTG had said, and I sent them 6 or 7 links and it was like, look, all these channels are showing the same exact thing you just flagged me for. And their response was, you broke the community guidelines. That was their response. So I mean, they're just outright discriminating against me. It's rules specifically for me, not for anybody else. And I mean, I've caught so many strikes, I've gone down so many times, and it sucks. It sucks because then when I go down, I can't communicate with you guys, and then you guys all unsubscribe and leave. You think I just took the week off or something, and it sucks. It's terrible. I hate it. I hate it so much. I spent $1,000 and built a website that I've been building since October every single day, 4+ hours. Some days I do 10 hours sitting there working on the website to develop it so you guys will go over there, get a membership, support what I do, watch what I do, uncensored, have an open community. We have social media and all kinds of other, we have everything that any other social media has, but it's private. There is no one watching over us. It is completely uncensored over there. So I just need people to migrate over there so they can't kick our tower over, because YouTube is turning into the new MySpace. Unless you make cat videos, dog videos, ASMR, or you're a news channel that's got 1 million subscribers, everybody else is getting kicked off. Even people who play the game. You can't show game gore, game violence, swearing in video games. All that stuff will get you banned now. They're so soft that you pretty much got to have rainbow hair and support old man Walter. You're getting deleted. That's just the way it is. They're trying to abort you. So I don't know how many times I can say it, and every time I bring it up, people leave and they get mad and they unsubscribe. So I don't even want to talk about it, but it's what's happening. That is honestly what's happening. And now I got to be concerned because I showed the press briefing that 1 billion other channels showed, but because of the words they used, I could be taken down. Bobby, only friends? You can't even say that. Can't even say it. You can be banned for saying it. But no, I think Corinne was doing that. She was running her live through there because she's censored everywhere and whatever. And I think they actually took her down. I think that I believe I heard her mention that she lost that page because they didn't want her to show that kind of content on there. Apparently you can only sell feet pics on there. I didn't know that you couldn't show the news on there. So I don't know. It is what it is. We're just going to be moving forward as long as we can.
Please welcome the President of the United States, Joe Biden.
Make America great again.
Oh, you see all those folks out there? Hey, buddy, how?
He's gonna yell over the music. I got a copyright flag for a video that's 2 years old right before I went live today.
Said that, have a seat, have one, and the press said they don't have seats. He's so stupid he didn't know that. Those folks might not have them back there, but you all do here. Folks, look, there's a lot to say. I'm going to try not to say very much in terms of length of time, but I want to say a few things. It was mentioned that we should be working for the people of Africa. For years, I was chairman of the African Affairs Subcommittee of the United States Senate, and we've invested. My wife just got back from Zambia and Namibia. She's there all the time. We just made sure we have billions of dollars committed to build Africa. Angola is going to have the largest solar facility in all of Africa. We're investing in Africa because Africa is important and because everything happening there will affect us. So, folks, that's number one. Number two, I want to make sure that, I've told the mayor, I think mayors being the toughest job in America. But one of the mayors who took some time to come and help me put together my program, Keisha Lance Bottoms. Keisha, would you stand up? From Atlanta. She's understandably going home because she's got some kids and it's about time. She promised she'd stay as long as she did, and she did. But we got another mayor coming too. So anyway, thank you very much, Keisha. And folks, last time I was here, my daughter is a social worker, Ashley Biden, was with me. She couldn't be with me today. She wanted to because she's working on a project for battered women up.
All the people getting paid to be there aren't even showing up.
Sends her best. On this stage, the children of God started a journey. Walking, not saying a word, beaten, tear gassed. On this bridge, blood was given to help redeem the soul of America. Last time he was here, I was with him, John Lewis. They were his words. Mayor Perkins, Congresswoman Terry Sewell, members of Congress, all of you are here, Charles Maudlin, all of the foot soldiers of Selma, distinguished guests. You were among the final words of our dear friend John Lewis delivered as he stood on the bridge over troubled waters 3 years ago. I had the privilege of standing with him. Words that give meaning to the past and purpose to the future. I've been on this bridge before as vice president, as a candidate for president, and was even before as a senator, because history matters. And now I'm here as your president. The truth matters, notwithstanding what the other team is trying to hide. They're trying to hide the truth. No matter how hard some people try, what the hell? We can't just choose to learn what we want to know and not what we should know. We should learn everything, the good, the bad, the truth of who we are as a nation. And everyone should know the truth of Selma. 600 believers put faith in action to march across that bridge named after the Grand Dragon of the KKK. They're on their way to the state capital of Montgomery to claim their fundamental right to vote, laid in the bedrock of our Constitution, but stolen by hate, harbored in too many hearts. With unflinching courage, foot soldiers for justice marched through the valley of the shadow of death, and they feared no evil. The forces of hate conspired to demise, but they endured. They forced the country to confront the hard truths and to act to keep the promise of America alive. I was a student up north in the civil rights movement. I remember feeling how guilty I was. I wasn't here. How could we all be up there and you going through what you went through, looking at those? I can still picture the troopers with their batons and wands and whips. A promise that declares we're all created and deserve to be treated equally. 2 weeks later, they marched to Montgomery with Dr. King, an even bigger coalition of people from different races and faiths. 5 months later, the Voting Rights Act was signed into law 5 months later. But as I come here in commemoration, not for show, Selma is a reckoning. The right to vote, to have your vote counted, is the threshold of democracy and liberty. With it, anything's possible. Without it, without that right, nothing is possible. And this fundamental right remains under assault. The conservative Supreme Court has gutted the Voting Rights Act over the years. Since the 2020 election, a wave of states and dozens of anti-voting laws fueled by the big lie and the election deniers now elected to office. The new law here in Alabama, among other things, enacted a new congressional map that discriminated against black voters by failing to include what should have been a new, predominantly black district. That case, as you all know better than I, is in front of the U.S. Supreme Court. And my U.S. Department of Justice has joined many of you in arguing that the map violates the Voting Rights Act. All of this after a deadly insurrection on January the 6th. We must remain vigilant. In January, I signed the Electoral Count Reform Act to protect the will of the people and the peaceful transfer of power. But we know that we must get the votes in Congress to pass the John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act and the Freedom to Vote Act. I made it clear I will not let a filibuster obstruct the sacred right to vote, the right of any other right to vote from there. And that's why we follow the words that you all have, the words of Dr. King. He said, give us the ballot, we will place judges on the bench who will do justly. Led by Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson, and more black women appointed to the federal appellate court than every other president in history has done, we're about to do that. After Senate Republicans blocked the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act last year, I did what was in my power. I signed an executive order requiring all the key elements of the bill applied to federal law enforcement. I couldn't make it to states. Banning chokeholds, greatly restricting no-knock warrants, establishing a database for police misconduct, advancing effective and accountable community policing that builds public trust. We'll keep fighting to pass the reform nationwide. Folks, well, we passed the most significant gun safety law in 30 years, but I'm not ready to stop, nor is Jim Clyburn or anybody else up there ready to stop. I led the effort when I was a senator to pass the assault weapons ban, and we banned assault. We're going to ban assault weapons again. They matter.
Good luck to you, old man Walter.
Mass shootings. And together we're saying loud and clearly that in America, hate and extremism will not prevail, although they are rearing their ugly head in significance now. Silence, as the saying goes, silence is complicity. And I promise you, my administration will not remain silent. I promise you. The task before us is about justice, but it's also about jobs, financial stability, the ability to generate generational wealth. It's about hope, self-worth. It's about dignity. That's why we're building an economy that I've been very significantly criticized for, but I make no
You're breaking the economy.
from the bottom up and the middle out, not from the top down. We weren't poor, but we weren't wealthy. We were a typical middle-class family with a 3-bedroom home and 4 kids. I don't remember anything trickling down from on my dad's kitchen table, the trickle-down economic problem.
You just caught it in your throat, is that what you're saying?
Build from the middle out, the bottom up, The poor
Oh man, Walter says he don't make messes.
class does very well, and the wealthy still do well. We all do well. But we know there's work to do, especially as you recover from this devastating tornado and the storms that hit in January. That's why, working with Terry and the mayor, I issued a major disaster declaration immediately, committing the federal government to cover 100% of the debris removal. We also are paying for temporary housing, home repairs, supporting local businesses, small businesses, as well as doing in other towns devastated as you have been. To date, we provided $8 million in recovery, and we're just getting started the rebuilding effort. And we'll be here as long as it takes. The first major bill we passed without a single vote from the other team was the American Rescue Plan when I was sworn in. That has provided $60 million to Selma and Dallas County directly. One of the things, having been a county official for 2 years, I learned a long time ago, I didn't like anything that went through the state legislature. No, I'm not joking. Good people, but they all want a piece of it. If it's supposed to come to my county, it better damn well come to my county directly. So this is going directly to your county, directly to your city, to keep teachers, nurses, police officers, firefighters on the job. Selma's also benefited from the bipartisan infrastructure law, which is a multi-billion-dollar commitment to rebuild this country. How can we be the leading economy in the world if we don't have the best roads, ports, and so on? How can we be that? Well, guess what? It's the largest investment in infrastructure since Eisenhower's interstate highway system. Here in Selma, we're funding major water projects, removing over 800 poisonous lead pipe service lines that are over 100 years old, because every child should be able to turn on a faucet and drink clean water without fear of getting sick.
What about Ohio?
Deliver affordable high-speed internet to every single home in this county and this city. And no parent, God forbid another pandemic, is going to have to sit in the McDonald's parking lot to use their internet to be able to have their kids' homework be done. Look, and in the process, these kinds of investments are going to create good-paying jobs. Most of these jobs don't require college degrees. They'll be able to hire here, hire in your community. And by the way, the unemployment rate for African Americans under my administration is the second lowest it's ever been in all of American history. And we're going to continue to make sure that happens. And by the way, I'm the only president I've learned that had permanent offices in the White House for the Divine Nine and the HBCUs. I figured it out, man. I figured it out. Now I know that the vice president thinks that Howard's the best. Delaware State University, where I come from. But all kidding aside, we've contributed billions of dollars to put HBCUs in a position because they don't have, I mean it seriously, billions of dollars. They don't have the kind of trust funds that the major schools have. So guess what? It leaves out an awful lot of qualified African Americans at HBCUs from learning how to deal with cybersecurity, learn how to deal with all the stuff of the future. Guess what? Right now,
Guess what?
they have that, and I'm able, as a president of the United States, to award these contracts directly there because they have the lab. I'm serious. It's a big deal. There's a lot more we're doing for Selma and cities like it all across America. When I passed the Inflation Reduction Act, which again, the other team didn't participate at all, which allows Medicare to negotiate drug prices for the first time. Do you realize in America, we pay more for prescription drugs than any nation in the world? Hear me? More. And I've been fighting this for the last 25 years, but guess what? We finally beat Big Pharma. So now, oh man, you have no idea how good I felt about that one. Because what's happened? What happened is now Medicare can say, we are not going to pay you more than $35 instead of $400 for that insulin that you need. And guess what that means? Not only it reduced prices for people who need help, but it reduces the federal budget by $158 billion. You know, we can walk and chew gum at the same time. In addition to that,
You can't, old man Walter. You fall up and down the stairs.
we got a commitment initially. I proposed that we reduce for anybody needing that insulin. Well, guess what? The other team voted that down too. But along came the largest maker of insulin in the country. They, as they said, seen the Lord. They saw light. And here's the deal, I'm not kidding. Eli Lilly, one of the biggest drug makers of insulin, they just announced they're gonna cap the cost of all their insulin at $35. And guess what that means? No other company gonna be able to charge more than that because no one's gonna buy it. For everyone else with diabetes, that's gonna help 500,000 folks in Alabama today are on this. And it's gonna reduce the price from somewhere between $400 and $600 a month to $35 a month. So let's finish the job. Lower the price for everyone, including the 200,000 children with type 1 diabetes across this country. But there's more work to do. We'll protect Social Security and Medicare, and we'll protect, by the way, did you see that State of the Union address? I said, it means all you guys are against cutting Medicare and Social Security. Oh, yeah. Well, in my religion,
Oh, yeah.
that's a wonderful thing. Look.
Come on, man.
Medicaid is critically important to people that are having trouble making it. And the Affordable Care Act, we increased the available money by $800 for those folks. We're going to make sure we protect those too to make sure they get the care they need. Look, we need to reward work, not just wealth, because the idea, you know, we used to have about 670 billionaires in America. Now we have about 1,000. Do you realize they pay a lower tax rate than your police officers or the people driving that ambulance? They pay a lower tax rate than hard-working folks. I think you should be able to make $1 trillion. Just pay your fair share, Jack. No, I mean it. And by the way, we'll also begin to pay their fair share. Look, with Terry's leadership, let's make sure working parents in Selma and across the country have a living wage. There should be sick days available, paid family and medical leave. We're the only country in the nation in the world doesn't have it. Affordable child care and elder care. It saves money. Let's restore the full child tax credit. And by the way, that cut black child poverty in half and gave tens of millions of parents some breathing room, including almost 1 million folks in Alabama. I was telling the mayor on the way over, my dad is a hard-working guy, a real gentleman, a decent man. He never got a college degree. He never got to go to college. It was a great regret he had. But you know what he used to say for real? I'm sorry I always quote my dad, but it's worth saying. He'd say, Joey, remember, a job is about a lot more than a paycheck. It's about your decency. It's about respect.
How can he have that mic so close to his face and still not be able to understand what he's saying?
It's so easy.
His mic's probably not even on.
Fundamental changes.
We're just hearing the bleeding from the mics on the podium.
Secretary Marcia Fudge. Marcia, you're here, right? There you go. She's my Secretary of Housing and Urban Affairs. Look, she's leading the way on housing discrimination and affordable quality housing. My message to you is this. We see you. We're fighting to make sure no one's left behind. This is a time of choosing, and we need everybody engaged. We know history does not look kindly on those who deny the march across the bridge to redeem the soul of America. Let me close with this. In many of your faith traditions, Sunday is the Sabbath, the day of rest. But on that Sunday morning of March 7th, 1965, Amelia Boynton Robinson and 600 of her fellow children of God chose different pews. On this bridge of her beloved Selma, they were called to the altar of democracy. unsure of their fate, but certain of the cause was righteous. So she would go on to say, quote, "You can never know where you're going unless you know where you've been." We know where we have been. My fellow Americans, on this Sunday of our time, we know where we've been, and we know, more importantly, where we have to go forward.
Cyber Squirrel, ChatGP Joe, I'm saying. He's just running on autopilot.
Let's keep marching. Let's keep the faith. But most of all, let's remember who we are. We're the United States of America, and there's nothing beyond our capacity when we act together. So let's go and finish the job. God bless you all, and may God bless our troops.
Good morning.
Was there even an audience there? I didn't hear anybody. He's just yelling out to the middle of the street as cars are passing by. He's all on his own. Secret Service is like, this is the easiest job we've ever had. Well, we were going to cover a video from yesterday, I think it was. I don't know. I can't remember if it's from yesterday or this morning. Another Old Man Walter video, but we're not going to cover it because I've had enough of Old Man Walter. Maybe I'll post a link in the description if you want to hear more of that, but it's the same nonsense over and over again. He was supposed to be speaking at some sort of firefighter get-together of some sort, but I'm sure we would just hear the same nonsense, and I really just had enough of Old Man Walter today. So we're going to be moving forward to a video that is titled "2nd Norfolk Southern Train Derails in Ohio Within a Month." This video is only about 2 minutes long. Another day, another disaster. So give me a second to pull this up.
Approximately
All right, give me a second to read through the chat really quick, and we will be moving forward. JB, he had a clap track on his record player. I'm saying, he pulled out the old gramophone, set it out there in the parking lot, when he got his record ready. He probably couldn't even handle the record. I'm telling you. I said it earlier. He couldn't defend himself from a bag blowing in the wind. Somehow he's going to protect all of us. Mm-hmm. Sure. Sure. Donna Sparks, you're cracking me up over there on JeffMACLive.com. So I'm going to post the link again to all you hooligans over on YouTube for a free week membership over on JeffMACLive.com. There's no strings attached. You don't have to enter credit card information. You don't have to worry about being charged after a week or figuring out how to cancel your membership or anything like that. There's no goofy nonsense like that. It's a free week over on JeffMACLive.com, behind the scenes in the authorized area with all the other hooligans. And then after a week, your membership expires. And it's up to you if you would like to go and apply for, well, I guess it's not apply, but subscribe for an actual membership where you can continue on until you're ready to let it go. But I would like to give you guys a tour, a behind-the-scenes look with no strings attached to what is actually going on the website that I'm working so hard to make the Hooligan home a great place. So when you see that link in the chat, definitely pull up a second page or something like that. Doesn't take nothing but 10 seconds or so to fill out, and it'll let you see what all we've been working on over there in the most free place on the internet. All right, let's get her started, hooligans.
20 cars of a Norfolk Southern cargo train derailed Saturday afternoon near Springfield, Ohio. This video captured the moment the train began to derail.
I looked up and there was all kinds of debris and metal shoot out from under the train cars. And when it did, for some reason, I just started recording.
4 of the derailed cars were tankers carrying residual amounts of non-hazardous materials. There were no passengers on the 212 car train.
There was no release of any chemical or any hazardous material to the soil, to the air, to the water. We were, of course, tracking that closely.
Earlier this week, a bipartisan group of 6 senators introducing new rail safety legislation requiring rail companies to notify state emergency response officials if they're transporting hazardous materials, increase inspections, raise fines for breaking rules, and mandate a 2-person crew.
It shouldn't take a disaster to have good oversight legislation to make sure that we have a safe rail system.
The fines for safety have averaged about $10,000 over the last few years to Norfolk Southern and CSX and the other big railroads. That's just pennies on the dollar of cost of doing business.
This marks the 2nd derailment of one of Norfolk Southern trains in Ohio in just over a month. On February 3rd, a freight train carrying hazardous materials derailed in East Palestine in northeastern Ohio. Residents there confronting the company at a town hall last week.
I'm begging you, by the grace of God, please get our people out of here.
The CEO of Norfolk Southern is set to testify this week before Congress on Thursday. He's likely to face questions about whether the railroad has been investing enough in safety. Jacqueline Lee, ABC News, New York.
Like I said, another day, another disaster. Seems to be a lot of things on fire. Lots of buildings exploding, lots of trains derailing. It's like every other one has got some sort of toxic chemical. Want to say in New York they found a vehicle with hazardous material in it in Manhattan, and a person died. I don't even know what happened. There's not a lot of details on it, which is why we're not covering it quite yet. We're waiting for more information to come out. But it seems like there's a lot of dangerous stuff going on all of a sudden, all at once, every day, back to back. And people love to get in the comments, not you hooligans, but other places of the internet, and love to say, oh, well, this just happens all the time. We're just seeing more of it now. Why? Cell phones just got cameras? We just got the internet like this weekend? Is that what happened? How can you say that this happens all the time? We're just not knowing about it until right now. What changed between now and 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago or before the UFOs were in the sky? What's changed? Nothing's changed. We've had phones, we've had cameras, we've had the internet, we got Wi-Fi, we got whatever the new stuff is, 5G network and all that stuff, which is supposed to be so great for you. So what's changed? How come we're all getting more awareness about this all of a sudden? It's because it's nonsense. I think it's bots and CIA posting those comments trying to make people think that this is no big deal, that this hazardous material and toxic chemicals are just being put into our environment every single day, ruining our ecosystem that we live in. Our environment is becoming toxic, and then what are we going to do? We're going to go live on Mars with Elon? He's not going to let us live on Mars with him. He's going to keep it for himself. That's what's going to happen. He's going to be the king of Mars. I don't know. It's not good. They're just sitting here lying to us about it. And I've also seen a lot of people post articles and stuff saying, like, once property becomes contaminated, it can just be taken over by the government. They can go there and just take ownership over the property because the property is considered not fit for human conditions and stuff like that. So just another reason that things are done strategically, and it's all lies that they're telling us. They're just straight lying to us, saying, oh, this just happens every day, it's not a big deal. No, it is a big deal. So this next video is titled 11 Oregon Counties Attempting to Secede and Join Idaho Over Liberal Policies. Alright, hooligans, let's get her started. With audio.
would bribe the homeless to stay out on the streets by paying them $1,000 per month. This is one of the many factors propelling the Greater Idaho movement, with 11 conservative counties in Oregon attempting to secede the state and join Idaho. Idaho State Representative Barbara Ehart joins us now. Good morning, Barbara.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Well, thanks for coming on. Yeah, this is going to make even more people in Oregon want to move to your state. How do you feel about that?
You know, this has been an interesting experience from the very beginning when I was approached about just listening to a conversation, just over 2 years ago. It made sense right away. It made sense to look at some like-minded people and also for us in Idaho, why not have that conversation? We've been the fastest growing state in the nation. We have, a lot of people moving in here to look at that landmass, to look at the resources, the water, the timber, the minerals. Why not have that conversation? And on top of it, we look at what's happening to Eastern Oregon. They do not share the same values as those who are passing and making these decisions. These decisions are completely antithetical to a constitutional republic. It's really kind of disappointing.
Do both states have to agree to this?
Yes, both states would have to agree to this. And then if that happened, then it would go to Congress, and Congress would then have to approve it. And though many people say, this is not possible, there's a lot that has to happen before for this to even be considered. I say, I grant that. This seems like a big wish list. But you know what? Without taking these steps and having these conversations, and Oregon having their counties vote to move forward on this, it certainly wouldn't happen. But, personally, I think it could happen. I like the idea.
Well, I know you represent Idaho. What do you love most about it?
You know what? I was born and raised here. Idaho is, first off, it's a beautiful state, but I've had the opportunity to travel and live in many other places, and I've always come back to Idaho because of the people, because of our values. We're traditional family. We're very independent, do it yourself, not rely on the government. That's important to me, and I think we need to get back to that being important to America also.
So where does this stand? What happens next? How do we make this happen?
Yes, at this point, we've been engaged for the last 2 years in conversations. As a matter of fact, 2 years ago, myself, I was the chair of a committee and teamed with the Senate. We invited Oregon down to come and present to us. And right now, we've actually taken a resolution, joint memorial resolution, through on the House side. It's passed. And so we've now sent it to the Senate side. And so we'll see. If not this year, it may be next year. But we've had a lot of positive response to this, and Oregon is doing some of the same things. And I think you're seeing a picture right there. There's a lot of beautiful land, and besides, it's gorgeous. But the other thing that we have to keep in mind, that the area that would be impacted, they're very much like-minded people, very much like us here in Idaho. And, I would be thrilled to have them join us.
And how would it affect the elections? Because this is a group of, it's 13 counties, 11 or 13? What's correct?
Currently, there have been 11 counties that have passed resolutions to go ahead and continue talks with us. When you look nationally and through the years, what you can do when it comes to maybe creating a state, moving a state, there are really only three ways to move. You can either create a new state. That's not going to happen unless you're Washington, D.C. We know that. You could succeed from the Union, and we know how well that had gone about 150 years ago. And really the most viable means of creating a change really is in moving the border. And so that's what we're looking to do. It certainly makes sense. And with the recent Claremont Institute study that had been about a year-long study, Idaho would essentially benefit, as far as it's not going to hurt our people at all. It's not going to cost us. Another benefit for us here in Idaho is, our policies, our laws are very different. In Oregon, they believe in drugs at all levels. And so right on our border, closer to Boise, our major metropolitan area, you'll see a lot of cars over on that other side in Oregon purchasing drugs. Yeah. And one of the great things about this is it would push that border hours away. Yeah. And hours away from our populace. And from
Barbara, we've done so many stories on Portland, and there are people in New York that would love to do this too, because New York City is so liberal. but the fringe area is not at all. So it does affect elections. Thank you so much, Barbara, for coming on.
Well, I don't really blame those counties for wanting to move away from Portland and all that stuff where they're allowed to just run rampant. Criminals and drug addicts, alcoholics, bad people, just bad people. They are privileged to be there. It's not really fair to anyone that's got goals or has ever earned anything in their life to live in their own toxic filth. It's not good. I don't blame them. Happy Freedom Dot. Thanks for being here. Alright, so this is the last video that's going to be shown on YouTube, and then we have an article after that. Then we'll be wrapping things up for YouTube, and we'll post links and stuff to get everybody to the free speech platforms before we wrap up the show. This next one is titled 4 Americans Kidnapped in Mexico. FBI offers $50,000 reward for any information. They do show footage of officers with firearms. I cannot show that, so you'll probably be spending most of the video looking at this screen right here, but I think the information is worth hearing. The video is short. It's only, I don't even think it's a whole 2 minutes.
Another top story right now, Another top story right now, the FBI is searching for 4 Americans who were kidnapped after crossing the Mexican border. Now the feds say they need help.
They were last seen on Friday in a town called Matamoros.
The U.S. consulate had just issued a warning about a growing drug war. William Lajeunesse joins us from our Los Angeles bureau. Good morning to you. What do we know about the missing Americans?
Details right now are still a little sketchy. As you said, this happened just over the U.S. border in Matamoros, just over the border from Brownsville, Texas, well south of Houston. There was some drone video that we had. The 4 had apparently just driven their van with North Carolina plates over the border in the afternoon. Minutes later, they come under gunfire. Surveillance cameras showed armed men with rifles, bulletproof vests, toss at least 1 female in the back of a white pickup. Tamaulipas State Police said the cartels killed or injured several people on Friday. They did not specify if any were American. Now, the FBI put out a $50,000 reward for information on this kidnapping and told employees at the U.S. consulate there to avoid the area. Tamaulipas is one of 6 Mexican states already on the do not travel list due to crime and kidnapping. Several other states, they said, reconsider travel. Only 2 states near Cancun are considered safe. You got violent crime, homicide, kidnapping, carjacking, robbery. Pretty common down there, and kidnapping is a very big business, anyone with value. So that's it as we stand right now. I've talked to the FBI this morning. They did not give us any additional details. I've also talked to some intelligence people in the Border Patrol, and they said, you know, it's sketchy right now, but this does not sound so random, meaning you come over the border, you stop in for a taco or to get a Coca-Cola, and that you come under gunfire. We're not saying there is a cartel connection. On the other hand, they also it sounds a little sketchy. Back to you.
Terrifying to anybody who has plans to go to Mexico, nonetheless. All right, William Lajeunesse, thank you.
Well, they act like it's just another day in Mexico. It's not good. It's not good. And then the whole FBI offers $50K for any information. Like I said at the beginning, why wouldn't the cartel just hand them over then? Oh, you got $50K for us? Here. And just continue this cycle of hostage situation or being held for ransom, basically, is what's happening, especially if the federal government's willing to pay it, which, I mean, is kind of good. You would hope that the federal government would try to come save you, but, I mean, if you illegally went into Mexico, then whatever is going to happen to you is kind of going to happen to you. But I also believe the same thing the other way around. When they come over here, whatever happens to them happens to them. Nobody even knows they're here because they're not supposed to be here. Every time I come across an article where there's someone going to jail for shooting an undocumented person for being here, well, if we were being invaded by any other country, isn't that kind of what you would expect? Wouldn't you expect if a foreign country just came marching into your land, demanding that, you know, we're all going to be held hostage in our own country? Would you not expect us to fight back? I mean, does that not make sense? But people are being arrested left and right for taking out people who aren't even supposed to be here, who are legitimately invading their country, invading our country. So I don't understand that. I don't see any problem. I think people need to learn to bury them, I guess, because that's where they're getting hit, is they're calling the police or whatever, and there's a body there, and they're like, well, who is it? Well, we don't know. They're not supposed to be here. And then they're getting taken away. Is it murder if that person doesn't have any rights? If they come here, they don't belong here. They don't have rights. They don't have the right to health and happiness. If that gets taken away from them, what can you say? They don't have any rights. They don't have the right to be here. So I don't know. I don't understand. I don't want to see bad things happen to people. But at the same time, just allowing them to just wander over here and invade our country and take over, you know, whatever they decide. Because I understand some of them are seeking asylum. Well, there's a right way to do things. Just illegally crossing the border and damaging someone's property, hurting Americans, and smuggling drugs and everything else. Obviously, they're not here for the right reasons. If they get taken out, I think that person deserves a medal. That person's a hero. They're fighting against the invasion. They shouldn't be facing 20 years in prison for taking out an invader. I don't know. That's just my opinion, though. Obviously, it's wrong. It's wrong from what everybody responds when I say that, but I don't know. I don't think it's okay. I don't understand the difference. If you have someone break in your house with intent to cause you great bodily harm or death, you have the right to defend yourself. Well, how is it any different if they come into our country? How is it any different? They're coming into our home with intent to cause great bodily harm or death. How do you not have the right to defend your life and the life of others? It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense to me. So we're going to be covering an article that is titled, "Ford wants to be able to shut down your air conditioner and radio if you miss a car payment, and the car could even drive away on its own." This article is fairly short. I will be posting the link in the chat so you guys can follow along with me. After this, we'll be doing a spiel deal, and then we're going to end the live for YouTube, and we're going to continue on with all the other platforms because we have 2 more videos to cover that I can't show on YouTube. I'm kind of sketched out about how that press briefing went. If we even survive it, I don't think I'm going to show press briefings on YouTube anymore. I'm not, like, I can't keep risking that stuff. It's too risky. It's too risky. And I'm concerned that we're not going to survive this. If I'm not here tomorrow, that's why. If I disappeared, I'm not here for Coffee with Hooligans. That's why. It's not because I took the day off. It's because they hold me accountable to the rules and not anybody else. So I don't know. It is what it is. I'm on all these other platforms. I even built a really great website for all of you to come hang out at. I can't keep risking it on YouTube. It's just not worth it. It's just simply not worth it. So we're going to move on with this article, and then we'll move forward. Mary, my sister, and her husband are going to Mazatlan, Mexico on the 14th for 10 days. Well, I hope they stay safe out there. Seems like a dangerous place. I don't know about that area specifically. I just mean Mexico in general. All right, so the link that I just dropped in the chat should bring you guys to this article. Of course, all the links from everything that we covered today will be in the description. Oh, what is that sound? Someone's calling me right now. Why? You can't tell I'm at work? Turn your TV on. I'm working. And it's WMM calling me. You guys, you need to tag WMM and tell him, come on, man. I'm at work. I'm live. Turn your TV on. JeffMAC's on. Good nice. Good nice. Anyways, as I was saying, everything that we cover, I go back in all the descriptions on all the platforms, and I add all the links into the bottom of the description. So if you guys watch the show and you feel informed and you tell your buddies or whatever information that you learned, and you need to show receipts because we can't even trust each other anymore, because after this banging we've been taking for the last 2-3 years from the government, we're all hostile individuals with social issues and trust issues more than ever before. If you feel you need to provide receipts, you can always come back to the live. I got all the links posted. You guys can provide receipts and show people how right you are. Good stuff. Anyways, this article titled, once again, Ford wants to be able to shut down your air conditioner and radio if you miss a car payment, and the car could even drive away on its own. The article starts off by saying Ford Motor has filed a patent on technology that could make life very difficult for debtors as loan delinquencies increase. That's that good economy. That's what that is. What's that aggravating beeping in your car? ? You might have missed a payment. Ford Motor Co. has filed for a patent on technology that could remotely shut down your radio or air conditioning, lock you out of your vehicle, or prompt it to to non-stop beep if you have missed your car payments. Ford said they have no plans to use this technology, contained in just one of the many patents filed by the automaking giant. The article goes on to say, according to the Ford patent application for repossession-linked technology, cruise control and automated window could be disabled if a consumer doesn't acknowledge a notice of an overdue car payment. Ford could also shut down key fobs, door locks, and even the accelerator or the engine itself. Disabling such components may cause an additional level of discomfort to a driver and occupants of the vehicle. The patent application states, Wes Sherwood, a spokesman for the Dearborn, Michigan-based automaker, said Ford has no plan to deploy this. Ford was granted more than 1,300 patents in 2022 as part of the Encouraging a Culture of Innovation. The automaker said in an email, they said in an email. The article wraps up by saying, and what about the beeping sound? Car owners would be unable to shut off the noise without first contacting their auto lender about the delinquency. The patent application shows Ford called the sound unpleasant, basically. They use other fancy wording, but they're basically saying it's unpleasant. I don't see how that couldn't distract you from driving. How is that not like a traffic infraction on its own? And then would you just forward those fees, those court fees, because you'd have to go to court to explain why you're distracted as a driver? Could you not sue Ford for that? Probably not. Just because of how the big wigs go, probably would not be able to sue them. But we've been saying this. We've been saying this with this technology. They're here to control us. They want to ban your gas stove so they can tell you when you can and can't cook food. I keep telling you guys, wait till you're not woke enough to have internet. You're not woke enough to have your water on your house anymore. You're not woke enough to have electricity. Just wait till your credit score doesn't allow you to come into Walmart and buy groceries. You're not allowed to be here. We see you're not woke enough to purchase food for your kids. Or maybe you're not woke enough to allow your kids to even go to public schools. They're going to control us. We are surrounded, and they're just drip feeding this information to us. Most people don't read, and you're not going to see videos about that kind of stuff. They put it in articles knowing that most people are not going to read the articles. They're not going to retain the information, which is why most of the bills that get passed are wrote down. They're not said out loud because they know people will not read. They don't want people to read. because dumb people are easy to be controlled, and people would rather watch videos and stuff. And when you got platforms like YouTube where they censor everyone except for news companies that have millions of subscribers who manipulate the information they're telling you, everybody's just eating it up. But it's all soft information. It's diet information. You like that? I just made that up on the spot. It's not good. It is not good. So that's going to be wrapping up the YouTube side of things. We still have 2 more videos to cover. I'm going to post links in the chat. You guys will have until, well, I'll do my spiel first. Then I'll put a time limit in. But I encourage you guys to come over to the free speech platforms to watch the rest of this information we have to cover. We probably have another 10-20 minutes, maybe a little bit longer, of stuff to cover. I'm also going to post a link so you guys can try out your free week membership over on JeffMAClive.com. No strings attached. We're not going to charge your credit card. You don't have to worry about canceling your membership. After a week, you just will lose access to the website. And if you like what you had, you can always come back and subscribe for a real membership. So something I'm just doing to be nice and to allow you guys to come over and see what it's like to actually be uncensored on the internet, where you could talk openly, say your feelings, don't break the law, don't be a racist a-hole. Those are the only community guidelines. But to speak your mind and to say what you really think, we encourage that over there. Plus you have a live streaming area where all of my lives are streamed. So here on JeffMAC or on JeffMAC Live YouTube channels, that's streamed over there. On JeffMAC Gaming, that's streamed over there. If we go live with Klaus Daniels on his channel, that's going to be streamed over there. Everything that I show on every single channel, no matter what the topic is, it is all viewable on JeffMAClive.com. It is the Hooligan home, so I encourage you guys to check it out. I'm going to give you guys my spiel. I'm going to post some links. I'm going to give you some minutes, let you carry over to the free speech platforms, and we're going to continue on. So when you get a second, please go to JeffMAClive.com. You can also find the link in the description. On the homepage, you can see all of my links listed. You can find the link to join Gilded for free. Gilded is currently the best way to receive notifications for when and where we go live, every time we go live. You'll also receive notifications if we have important updates or things I feel you should know. There is a news board on Gilded to keep you up to date with everything going on around the world. And there's a ton of hooligans in there to hang out with all day, every day, to chat it up about pretty much whatever you like. So definitely join Gilded. Also on the JeffMAC Live homepage, you can find links to the merch store if you'd like to grab some merch. Oh yeah, I made new merch yesterday and then I didn't tell anybody about it. We have Coffee with Hooligans merch. You should definitely go check that out. All of the merch is, well, first we have shirts, hoodies, stickers, and coffee mugs. Everything is displayed in black and white or white and black. But if you find something you like, just click on that item to see all the colors that item comes in. You can also find links on the JeffMAC Live homepage to PayPal, Cash App, Venmo, Stripe, Zelle, and Buy Me a Coffee if you would like to support what I do. There's also a link to the Amazon wish list if you would like to send me stuff. It's really easy to use. Anything you purchase directly from the wish list will be sent straight to me without having to send an email or find addresses or any information like that. It's really simple. Also, my birthday's in 5 days. It's the official Hooligan holiday. And anything you guys send me, we will hold an unboxing live so we can open up everything that you guys send me on the live. It always gives me high anxiety and I look all nervous and foolish. It's always a really good time. But I really appreciate everything you guys send me. And so I like to open everything on the live, unless you request otherwise, which sometimes happens. But just to show you guys how much I appreciate all of you. And I don't even pull it all out of the package. I just check it to make sure there's nothing bad in the box. And then I wait until unboxing day. And I open it and I am surprised and taken back right there on the live. It's usually a good time. So definitely look forward to that and keep that in mind if you would like to use the Amazon wish list. You're also welcome to send me an email if you want the P.O. Box number. If you want to just send me something on your own, you're welcome to do that as well. Finally, on the JeffMAC Live homepage, you can find links to the membership programs. There's memberships for YouTube, Gilded, Discord, Odyssey, Rumble, and Twitch. And then JeffMAClive.com itself has a membership program to take you behind the scenes to our own social media and our own live streaming area. And I'm every day working on that website to make it the best place it can be. So definitely check all of that out. All right, hooligans, it is that time. It is 4:04 right now. You will have until 4:06 to come over to the free speech platforms in order to watch the rest of this live. Like I said, we have 2 more videos to cover, probably another 10-20 minutes of the live to go. I encourage you guys to come over to the free speech platforms, make yourself an account, and then you'll be able to participate in the chat. We have Rumble, Odyssey, JeffMACLive.com, Twitch, and we have Twitter. We're live on Twitter. So I encourage you guys to go over there. I will be posting the links in the chat in just a moment. And as I said, if I get a strike, if you don't see me here for Coffee with Hooligans, it's not because I took the day off. My days off are on Sunday. So if you don't see me live, it means that YouTube did something bad to me. And so I need you guys to get used to getting over these free speech platforms, because one day they're not going to let me come back. WMM popped up in the chat and Snooks was quick with it. She said, "You called him and we all know." You called him while he was at work. Snooks, you're hilarious. Happy freedom, WMM. I will call you as soon as the live's over. Like I just mentioned, we got about 20 minutes or so, and we'll be wrapping this up. Then we can move forward with the day. All right, hooligans, I'm going to give you an extra minute. You got an extra minute. You need to come over to these free speech platforms so we can move forward with this, all the goodies we have left. All right, it is time. We're going to end the live on YouTube, both YouTube channels, and we're going to move forward with the rest of this live. So give me a second, take your seats, refill your coffee. We'll be moving forward in just a moment.